Welcome back to the Miguel Zakova Show with me, Miguel Zakova, and it's time to open your eyes. 2003's Kamen Rider Faiz. Kamen Rider Faiz tells the story of multiple people, but most centrally, this pretty boy over here, Takumi Inui. One day, I don't even know to be honest, he accidentally swaps bags with a girl named Mari Sanada. In this bag is the Faiz belt, which when a monster known as an orphan appears before Takumi and Mari, these in turn Takumi the Kamen Rider Faiz. From this point, Takumi and Mari meet up with this guy who owns a laundry service named Keitaro, who allows the two of them to live with him as long as they help with work. The three of them are continually attacked by the Orphanox as they basically just try to live a normal life as early 20-somethings. Well, Takumi and Mari are 18, 16 respectively, but you get the point. At the same time, another group of three people convene under one roof, the three of them being Orphanox. Orphanox are zombies that can turn into albino animal people, which is kind of cool outside the fact that they're all mentally ill because of the whole dying part. This group is made up of Nice Guy, Yuji Kiba, Wallflower, Yuko Osada, and Bum, Naga Kaido. The three of them band together because they lack the desire to kill humans that most other Orphanox have. This goes against the rules of basically the governing body of Orphanox, that being Smart Brain, which is just Apple, but if they were the X-Men's Brotherhood of Evil. Smart Brain wants to kill humans and thus potentially create more Orphanox so they can rule the world. Something that our main characters just barely know until Mari reveals his past as a member of a weird orphanage called the Ryusei School, which connects the Smart Brain, leading us to meet characters like Misato Kusaka or Kamen Rider Kaisa, who leads our cast closer and closer to learning Smart Brain's true goal and how they intend to achieve it. Or well, his existence does that. He certainly leads the cast places, for better or worse. Also, Mahara or Kamen Rider Delta shows up. We don't care. Kamen Rider Faiz is a very interesting watching experience. On the one hand, it's pretty solid for the most part, and we get to the answers for mysteries such as what is Smart Brain and the Ryusei School's connection. It's generally interesting and sort of tragic. But on the other hand, most of the show is not like that. Instead, it goes for the more slice-of-life drama tone that most of the Heisei Phase 1 shows have. A lot of the fun and interesting moments in the series come from the time we spend with the characters in these moments, especially when the more serious Orphanox stuff seeps into it. But at the same time, I think it unleashes what I think Inoue, the writer of this show, and Kiva and Don Brothers' most common writing problem is, which is playing way too in the gag till he has to focus in on the story. Characters like Takumi, Kiba, and Kusaka don't have this problem because it feels like Inoue had a real trajectory in mind with them from day one, which the show with every moment leads to the natural end of. But the other members of the cast, especially Keitaro, Yuka, and Kaido, after Kusaka shows up, aren't as lucky. Inoue essentially just playing around with them until the episode 40 mark hits, and it's like, I guess I have to do something with them now. Especially Yuka, because she stops being a character until the episode 40 mark hits. Like, Kaido and Keitaro have the problem of becoming a bit too much of gag characters for their arcs to fully work outside of Inoue's execution, but Yuka's problem is that she just stops getting any significant screen time until Inoue can't keep song with her. Also, characters like Mahara, who could have had something going for them, the whole being a coward thing, the show just doesn't focus on enough for you to care. He has good fits though. Then there are characters like the Lucky Clover, Smart Brain's elite group of Orphanox, who do get enough screen time to be interesting characters, but just aren't, outside of maybe Kitazaki, but he just has aura. Also, Mara's okay. I don't really have anything to say about her, outside of her kind of like sibling rivalry relationship with Takumi is fun. Like, basically, when we get conclusions for the characters, such as Keitaro going from a weak-willed guy to trying to do good, staying with a girl he likes Yuka's side after when she's a bird monster, Yuka the sad girl who just wants someone to genuinely care about her to tragically dying when she finally finds that person, and Kaido going from a slacker who has lost his passion, someone who wants to protect humanity from Smart Brain and their plans, is all really good. I just wish there was a natural progression and not just, I guess it's not unbelievable they got to this point after everything that's happened in the show, especially the Yuka and Keitaro stuff. But Takumi, Kusaka, and Kiba are the characters that lead us to what makes the show definitely one worth remembering. We're going to start off by talking about Kusaka, because I don't like him, but his role and honestly the franchise itself is very interesting. Misato Kusaka, despite being the second hero of the show, is Satan incarnate, him lying and manipulating every single person in the cast in order to get his way, especially when it comes to Mari, as he was also part of the Ryusei School. Him being obsessed over Mari because she protected him from bullies as a child, a past that motivated him to become stronger so he could protect her instead and potentially get in her pants. An already weird motivation is made worse by the mommy issues he has, causing him to have a weird Oedipus/Freudian type of fixation on her. If this was all there was to Kusaka's character, he'd just be kind of a weird footnote in Kamen Rider history. A secondary writer who's basically a villain without ever really taking that role. A type of villain you don't love to hate, but just hate. Like bro out here saying, Mari's the only person who could replace my mother. But the thing that makes Kusaka more interesting in retrospect is how his unluckable nature contrasts a man with issues worth sympathizing with. Kusaka's main thing at first, outside of being a douchebag, is he's the only member of the Ryusei School to remember anything about a very specific incident, the Ryusei School reunion. An incident which Kusaka would rather not remember, as every member of the Ryusei School, including him, were brutally murdered by the Lucky Clover member Kitazaki, and then were brought back by Smart Brain using Orphanox DNA, all in order to facilitate the true reason they were adopted in the first place, They figured out if they had the potential to become Orphanox, particularly the Orphanox King, the thing that will be able to ensure the true rule of the Orphanox over the planet. Kisaka being the only member outside of this other guy, Sawada, who I'm going to stop talking about, to know that all of his friends are zombies. Kisaka being particularly traumatized because he saw Mari die, and his hands being covered in her blood on the night of the event. Something that he continually remembers to the point he obsessively wipes his palm out of pure PTSD over the event. They know to honestly make his standoffishness and his behavior towards Mari a little sympathizable if he didn't have his other flaws. Him being overprotective over Mari and trying to protect her could be seen as sweet or noble in the face of having to watch her die. But it's not when Ro actively makes her uncomfortable and orchestrates the death and murder of any man she seems to vaguely like more than him. Which is mainly just Takumi and Kiba. Him literally figuring out a way to make them kill each other, and all for the crime of Mari trusting them more than him. The boy she had to save from bullies in elementary school. Like, he's such a lame. That contrast with his backstory is the thing that makes him so interesting and conflicting as a character. Because the minute there's even anything to get behind him with, you gotta think about what you've seen him done before you learn that information. Something that can't be said with any other Kamen Rider similar to him. Because either it's a character that does things like Kisaka, but the show starts with the parts that makes them empathizable, or they're likable despite moving like him a bit. This is especially seen with his hatred of the Orphanox. Hating the entire race of the villain group you fight is a very common thing in Kamen Rider, especially for secondaries. There's Nago and Kiva, Mach and Drive, Fuwa and 01, even the current secondary, Hanto and Gab. But like I said, all of these characters' reasons for hating them are both treated as valid and something they get the chance to grow from. So Kisaka doesn't get, which is honestly sad, because it's the most valid stance he has on anything at all in this show. Because again, Kisaka and everyone he cares about is a zombie because of the father they all looked up to, only adopting them in order to try and find the god of his race. Kisaka has every reason imaginable to be mad about that. Especially with the context of when he does learn all the details of what happened, he gets confronted his Dr. Father Hanagata, he's basically lost all control he had over his life. Everyone catching on to his nonsense in every way possible, aside of kicking him out of the group. Something which, while it is his fault, just makes everything worse, because when Hanagata begs him to give up the Kaisuchi gear, a device that killed every non-Orphanox user outside of Kisaka, to slowly killing him now, Kisaka refuses to give it up. He can't give it up. It's the only thing he has now in a world where he can never truly be with the person he loves, Mari. His terrible dream, the only thing keeping him going as a person, is gone, which is, again, pathetic, but is very interesting when put into perspective of Faiz's themes of dreams. Kusaka's worthless and ultimately unattainable dream was still valid because it was something that drove him to keep living, outside of just being a mindless fighter as Kaisa. The power he cherishes kills him the minute he no longer had that driving motivation, when he finally had nothing to hide the grudgeful beast he truly is. An arc made all the more interesting when one looks at the two main characters of the story and how they also play with the idea of dreams. Kiba and Takumi are interesting because they're pretty much both the main characters of the series. Kiba's the first character we actually meet in the series, and while Takumi is the guy who transforms into the series' title character. The moment Takumi transforms into Faiz and the moment Kiba becomes a horse Orphanox are essentially parallel moments. The difference is that one is where a person gains control of their life, and the other is where one loses control. A truth that's hard to truly grasp at first, because Takumi feels like he's just being dragged along in terms of being Faiz. Takumi being a man who tries not to get too close to others in fear that he'll betray them in some way. A fear only hidden by the weird sitcom-like scenario he's put into with Mark Keitaro, where they start relying on him more and more as a housemate, and the only person who could transform the Faiz and thus protect them from the Orphanox. Kiba, on the other hand, was a man just trying to live a comfortable life with his fiancée and family, until he got into a car accident and came back to life from a coma 2 years later, in a world where his parents have already died, and his fiancée is dating his cousin. A cousin who sees Kiba as nothing more than a burden, thinking that life would be better if he was dead. But Kiba pushes through this and builds a space for him and other Orphanox, who, despite what Smart Brain pushes on them, don't want to kill humans. Kiba's dream is to build a world where humans and Orphanox can coexist, which contrasts heavily with Takumi, who doesn't have a dream at all. He doesn't believe in himself enough to have it. Something that stays true for most of the series, or at least they think so. Because by episode 8, Takumi essentially states the dream he says he has in the final episode. In episode 8, Takumi says the iconic line, "I may not have a dream, but I can protect others' dreams." In episode 50, he says, "My dream is to make everyone happy." Things that lead into each other, because that idea of protecting others' dreams is what keeps Takumi going for the entirety of the series. Even when he's lost on what to do with the other Orphanox, or even himself, he eventually comes back to this belief. The understanding of what he will lose if he stops fighting, and how much he truly cares about that, despite how much he claims not to. Characters like Mark and Ketro, who he was annoyed by, turn into the closest people in Takumi's life, once he understands what they're fighting for and living for. His dream pushing him forward into being a better person. In the same episode that Takumi states he wants to protect dreams, Kiba describes them as a curse. The pain caused by failing to attain it being something that breaks a person irreparably. A truly tragic line, because it takes a long time for it to pay off, but when you remember the line, it makes what happens truly tragic, because Kiba was always destined to fail and eventually lose himself. In the context of that episode, it isn't that bad, because he's saying that before killing Kaido's crazy music teacher, who ran over his hand because he was jealous about his music career. Like, it's kind of innocuous, despite how dark it is. But it gets really bad when you remember the thing I removed when talking about the first 2 episodes. That being, he merged his cousin and girlfriend. Like, if I was in a position, I kind of understand the cousin thing. The girlfriend thing, though, is where it gets generally concerning, because there's absolutely no reason for him to have killed his girlfriend. He just did it because she wouldn't conform to his view of life anymore. It's a horrible and disgusting thing this character, who's supposed to be our other hero, did in just the 2nd episode. And because he didn't know any of the other characters at this point, he's never called out for it. Even when his girlfriend's brother comes around and starts to investigate her death, all Kiba can do is lie and be shocked in guilt, till the man becomes an orphan and does Takumi has to get rid of him. In this way, he's honestly like a reverse Kisaka. Instead of having any positive aspects of his character hidden by his toxicity, he has his negative aspects hidden by his positivity. The show tricks you into thinking those were moments of weakness, things he's too good to do outside those very specific circumstances. Especially his relationship with Takumi. Takumi, the protagonist, sees Kiba as a man better than himself. Him being inspired by Kiba's dream of humans and Orphanox living together, is Takumi's an Orphanox himself. It being the thing that causes a lot of his self-hatred and self-doubt in the series, because he's scared of the thing he is or could be. Something Kiba always sways Takumi from doing, because he sees the truly good person Takumi is, despite how rude and dismissive he can be. If only Takumi could have seen Kiba for who he was deep inside, because maybe he could have saved him from the person he became. Because when his dream is stolen from him, once the cops start a war against the Orphanox and kill Hika, he completely loses himself. He becomes the leader of Smart Brain and dedicates himself to the eradication of humanity. Him seeing no path for himself in a world where humans continue to exist, leading to probably his worst moment, where he kills Kisaka. Kisaka may deserve to die, and Kiba would be a good person to do it, but not how he does it here. Before this change, Kiba might have just killed Kisaka in the heat of the moment or something. A fate more dignified for Kisaka, but looks better on Kiba. But here, Kiba gives Kisaka the most humiliating death he could ever possibly have. A 1v3 fight with a Lucky Clover, where Kisaka gets immediately cursed on with his weakened body, and where Kiba makes sure Mari, who he kidnapped, gets to run around the beach where the fight happened for just a bit, so Kisaka in his final moments see the girl he cared about desperately look for him before Kiba turns to Kaisa, the only Kisaka has left, and snaps his neck, where he eventually fates to ash. Again, this is Masato. I have a picture of the girl I liked in my wallet as a child for some reason, Kisaka being murdered. But for a person as nice as Kiba was portrayed to be, this is truly heartbreaking to see. So that Takumi is a person who essentially idolized the man also feels. Him being mad that in all reality, between the two of them, he was the better person. But in the end, Takumi gets Kiba to consider believing in his dream again, fighting alongside Takumi and Mahara as he dies in the final battle against the Orphanox King. Him leaving Takumi to figure out whether or not they made the right choice to save humanity, as the Orphanox King is ultimately the only thing stopping the Orphanox from dying out over time. The final scene is low-key possibly the last thing Takumi ever did before he died. But regardless of whether he did or didn't, he has a dream to push him forward. So regardless of if he died in that moment, or 10 years after, or lives about as long as a normal person would, he has something to strive toward. He has a reason to live. And that's what Kamen Rider Faiz is about at the end of the day. Finding the thing that makes life worth living, and pushing forward with that in mind. It's the thing that makes Faiz kind of beautiful, despite how messy and half-baked a lot of it is. That was just me. See you in the next Faiz or video. Me guys, will signing out.
Things may break me, but always get back out. New perspective gain from all the